This is Tyrese Halliburton, and you're listening to Setting the Pace.
Well, hello there, Pacer Nation, and happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode here of your go-to Pacers podcast, Setting the Pace. And joining me is the pep boy himself, Michael J. Facci. Facci, how's it going, buddy?
So much pep and so much mail on me today, and maybe that's a little hint for what we're talking about today.
Yeah, we're going to be doing our August mailbag today, and look, we've got so many questions that we broke this down into 3 parts, and I will say after I did post that we were done with the questions, I got about 5 or 6 more that trickled in, so maybe later in the month, if we have time, we'll get to those on a separate episode. But for tonight's recording, as we're doing this, we're going to record parts 1 and parts 2 on Sunday night. So if anybody's curious, that's when the time frame is in case something does happen with these questions not being timely. But before we get started, Facci, me and you are both wearing the exact same shirt tonight. So you want to tell people about this shirt?
It was planned. All right. So one of our loyal listeners, Garrett, got to give him a shout out. NBA Jam, Alex and I, and to raise it up. I got the blur on the screen, so you might have to kind of read through some of the descriptions.
Yeah, I can read through them real quick here. If you're looking, it says like I don't know what you call that. The skills.
Attributes or skills. Yeah.
So instead of doing like shot and all that kind of stuff, we have shot on there. We have shot handles, and then we have nails because of me and Facci not knowing what nails was, and then pep. Obviously, Facci's all the way up on the pep bar. Mine's not fully there. But I'm a little bit tougher than Facci. My nails are all the way there. His are not. So,
well, what was great was sorry to cut you off. I showed my brother. My brother's like, "What's nails?" And I was like, "I didn't know either." So it's just like maybe it's just the Faccis in general are just not up to date on the slang these days. But I love those small details, like the pet meter being full. I mean that is my skill set. I love it. Garrett, shout out. I think you made an awesome shirt. Super cool. Something that, Alex and I definitely do not own. And I think is like, anyone who's in their 30s or so. And of course, us, we're getting older. NBA Jam is just part of the childhood. And it's just like so nostalgic. So really appreciate the shirt.
Yeah, I will say the rest of the attributes. Facci has better handles than me, apparently, which I don't think I agree with.
You'd be surprised.
You got good handles?
I got some decent handles. If I'm going right.
If you're going right. Okay, Tyrese.
Right.
But I have a better shot, which I think is accurate. I've seen
you saw me drill that at the carnival, man. I won that. It was a rigged rim. Oh, that's all I'm saying. So
one lucky shot.
I'm
not going to convince me that you're a good shooter.
Hey, you saw it on IG. But no, nonetheless, look, I thought it was a great distribution of skill sets. Super cool idea. Really appreciate the shirt. Always one of the coolest things, me, I love to talk about my kids. I showed my daughter and she just loved it. I mean, she did dad on a shirt. And I was like, yep. So she loved the shirt, Garrett. And hey, just to give you a little update, he had mailed me and Alex some sauces in the past. Garrett, I don't know how many sauces you sent, maybe 6. I'm down to the final sauce. I mean, my wife and I have been dipping. All right, we've been using that sauce nonstop.
How long have you had it?
Not long at all, which
man, you guys are some saucy people over there.
Big time. I don't care what I have that's already marinated in something. I always need to dip food in sauce.
That's a little bit different.
Yes, that is who I am. You could have loaded something in sauce. I still need my own sauce to dip it in. That's just who I am.
Hey, I mean, I respect it. I know that we did a Chick-fil-A sauce draft one time on this podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you were talking about the Polynesian sauce as one of your go-tos. You still have that a lot at the house, or
no? It's been a while, but I do love it. So in the overall Chick-fil-A, I've been out of that sauce as well. So speaking of Chick-fil-A, I actually have a brand new Chick-fil-A that opens up this Thursday in my town. It's sort of a little bit of a big deal around here because it's been brand new. We've been watching it be built for a while. This Thursday, the debut. They've been hyping this up for about a year. So,
well, make sure you download the app, do the mobile order, you get more points, more rewards, that kind of thing. So,
not bad.
From a faithful Chick-fil-A goer, just get the mobile app. It'll save you time. You can go to your previously ordered stuff, get your points. I know you're all about getting free stuff, Facci. So,
I love a good deal.
But I will say Garrett is a big fan of the sponge candy as well, which I'm sure he sent to you as well. Did you try the sponge candy?
Good. He did. He sent me. There was 2 different bags. I had one. My wife had the other one. It was a good chocolate.
You didn't mix it up and try both?
No, I didn't. I just had one bag, and my wife ended up having the other one without me. She was like watching.
But you liked it?
It was good. It was good. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But some of like the barbecue sauces, just top notch.
Yeah.
Garrett. Appreciate you.
Yeah, if any of our other listeners would like to send us something in, let us know. We would love to get your fan mail. I think it's awesome. We just really appreciate it. And obviously, we'll give you shout outs on the podcast and whatever we can do to make it highlighted that we appreciate all that you do for us. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into our mailbag, Facci. You want the first question or a second question?
Yeah, I'll read the first question.
All
Jake
right.
Exline, a loyal sender inner of mail. So we appreciate you, Jake. What are your favorite non-playoff 2025 Pacer memories? And I saw on Twitter, this one was going back and forth. At first, I was about to be like, I gotta say, my son being born was top memory of 2025 because originally it was like non-Pacer moments, but we narrowed it down. He meant non-playoff Pacer memories, and then he also said, "Will trivia be coming back next season?"
So I actually enjoyed the trivia. I don't know if Facci enjoyed it or not.
No, I thought it was the best part of it all is connecting with our listeners.
Yes.
That's the best part because you see the names with the faces. We see the end. Look, hey, well, let's just bring it up. The young Simba face reveal that was making waves through Twitter. People were stunned. I felt like we had like actual breaking news. Like I felt like more people were blown away by that than like maybe when Chad Buchanan was on here dropping some info about like the last two-way spot or anything of that sort. People were shocked by that. So trivia, space with a name.
I don't know how many text messages I got on Friday about that. I mean, it was pretty great. So thank you, young Simba, for revealing who you are on the podcast. And for any of our other private Pacers accounts that listen to this podcast, so you haven't revealed your face, let's make that a thing here on Setting the Pace. When you are ready to come out from behind the picture on Twitter, we will help reveal that. And I had to set it up. I think Cammy was like, oh, what a great setup, because I didn't just bring it right on with him answering the question. I kind of had my face on there first, and then boom, here he is, young Simba.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, we got a lot of comments on that. So, felt like we had someone in like the witness protection program or something like that. Once like the black screen came off or the blur or whatever you want to call that in those TV shows, people were. But Simba, we appreciate you. What do you got for top non-playoff Pacer memory this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, obviously this season was a lot of fun. There was a lot of moments there in March, I believe, where we had a lot of game winners. I know that the Pascal Siakam steal when he ripped it right out of the hands of Max Christie, right? And Andrew Nembhard hit that three to give them a win over the Mavericks. Obviously, the game in Minnesota when Obi Toppin hit that corner three, TJ McConnell was playing out of his mind. We've talked about that one quite a bit. Tyrese obviously hitting the game winner over Giannis with the and one with Reggie Miller on the call. That's a non-playoff moment, the best non-playoff moment in of the season, I would say. So that was my top three. Did you have another one?
No, that was definitely it. I had the Halliburton 4-point play against the Bucks as the top moment for me. I mean, that was just so electric. Like
the Minnesota game's really close for me though, because that was without all your starters.
It's number 2 for me, and it's what I had down in my notes because it's just like you didn't expect to win that game, but the way that you finished it off in that stretch that you mentioned, it felt like the Pacers were almost like borderline unbeatable. Like they kept digging deep, and someone else would just step up time after time after time. So I think the 3 games that you just covered there were definitely like the last second heroics that really made the season so much fun. Halliburton against the Bucks, that 4-point play, definitely number 1 on our list. And then as it relates to trivia, I think it totally should come back because we were just getting like some awesome listener engagement, having people going up against each other, really digging deep to like Pacer nostalgia and memories on the question. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I will say Casey Johnson, who was on this podcast about a week ago, he actually messaged me and said that gave me a really cool idea for maybe a different kind of version of trivia. Talked about the Pacers newlywed game.
What is that?
So we'll have to kind of break it down when Casey comes on. Maybe helps me with it. Maybe it's an off-season podcast that we do, but getting different couples on the show to answer questions and see like how they do. So I mean, it would be kind of have to coordinate everything perfectly, but I'm all for different ideas to just keep the show entertaining, especially during the off season. So I know Casey is going to help me with that eventually if we do that. But let's move on to our next question here. This comes from the Blue and Gold Buzz. With Aaron Nesmith likely getting extended, hopefully, do you think that the most likely do you think that most likely turns Mathurin into a trade piece, especially if he has a great year starting this year?
I don't think it's Nesmith or Mathurin. I think it's like very much, can Mathurin be someone that can play within Rick's system and also play very well with Tyrese? The second part we're not going to get to see this year. Obviously, no Tyrese Halliburton, but I would like to believe that if and when the Pacers extend Nesmith, it's more of like, hey, we've shown that like you're a vital piece here. You're taken care of financially, and I believe he would do whatever's best for the team, even if that meant coming off the bench, making like $20 million a year or anything of the sort. I don't know what the number is going to be at. Maybe it's 18, maybe it's 20, whatever it is. I feel like Nesmith's like a team first type of guy, as long as he knows he's got a prominent role, and he definitely has that with the Pacers. I would love to see Mathurin here long term. I do think that he's poised for a breakout year, but until that ink is dry on the paper, or we hear positive reports saying they are working towards a deal, we have a little bit of hesitancy or doubts that maybe it could be a long-term type of thing. And I feel like we have not heard anything remotely positive in the media saying like, hey, they're getting close to a deal, or both sides are inching closer. Haven't heard it. It just feels like those talks probably won't happen until after the season or anything of that sort.
Yeah, it just feels like everything with Mathurin right now, it's just kind of up in the air. This is like probably the biggest year of his career so far because of the opportunity that he's going to have, trying to fit into the system. What system do they play? How do they feel about him long-term with this group? How does Mathurin see himself long-term with this group? And I think there's a lot of questions you can ask yourself when you're trying to evaluate the future of Ben Mathurin here, because, look, I get it. On most of our trade podcasts, he was a name we brought up. On a lot of the conversations we've had about Mathurin, it's been, can he be here long term? And I've basically given like a hot take before where I said I think he's traded at the deadline, just because I don't think they want to lose the asset like they did with Miles Turner, because that could happen in restricted free agency. Even if they have the opportunity to match, I don't know if they will, depending on what kind of contract that he does get from another team. So to me, Mathurin's just a super intriguing player in terms of like asset versus like what he can fit in here long term wise, because I agree. Like, it would be great if he fits in perfectly, and this is just like a, bada bing, bada boom. He's your starting three moving forward. Nesmith off the bench, Nembhard starting next to Halliburton. Like, that would be awesome if that's what happens. I just don't feel in my gut that that's what's going to actually happen. I kind of feel like they're going to like relegate Mathurin back to more of a bench kind of person, and I don't think Mathurin's going to love that. And I think that to me is the biggest hurdle to jump is, do the Pacers view Mathurin as a starter or a six-man number one? And how does Mathurin respond if he's not a starter? Because I think he feels like he should be a starter in this league, and he's going to want starters' money, and you don't want to pay a guy $25 million to come off your bench. So you can pay him like a starter and still bring him off the bench. Maybe that works, but I don't see that happening. And I think that Mathurin is probably going to pull a number three from Milwaukee and maybe see if the grass is greener somewhere else.
I do think that like he's been I've said this time and time again. He's been a pro as it relates to like not running to the media or complaining or anything of that sort. But I do think if he was a starter to start the year, which it very much sounds like it's his job to lose, and then they did relegate him back to the bench, that's when I think you would finally hear something as it relates to the deadline of like, hey, before it comes time to like being able to ink a new contract, trade me so someone could have like my bird rights, anything of that sort. And I think that's when you might finally hear like, okay, you know what, Indiana can't take any chances. So I want it to work out here long term. That'd be the easiest and best option. We've seen this guy go off in an NBA Finals game numerous times while not playing a lot of minutes. He has a very specific and special scoring ability that few players in this league have. But we've obviously seen there is far more to the game than just being a really good scorer. I'm not saying he is a Cam Thomas by any means. He's better than Cam Thomas. But look at Cam Thomas right now. The Nets have nothing going on, and they're still hesitant to pay him because there is more than just scoring. I think Mathurin's a very special player with all-star capability in this league. And next year, I mean, we might be a month into next season being like, I don't care what's going on, you have to get this guy signed long term. He's unbelievable. That could very well happen, but for right now, it stinks that we don't get to see him play with Tyrese, because that's huge. And like the role with the upcoming payday is definitely something where anything and everything has to at least be on the table if you want to make the best move for this franchise, I would say.
Yeah, the Pacers will look at the best interest of the franchise moving forward.
Absolutely.
Mathurin will look at the best interest for himself moving forward. And if those two sides don't collide, or if they collide, that could end up resulting in something not working, right? So anyway, let's move on to our next question here, number 3.
The man of the hour, it is Garrett. Garrett said, do you think Ben Shepherd, so Ben Mathurin, Shepherd, and Obi finish out the season as a Pacer, or are they traded? Hot take.
Yeah. Let's not read the hot take yet. Let's do the question first, then we'll follow up with you reading the hot take. So,
what do you got?
Facci, just to kind of let's just talk this out, okay? He's asking if Mathurin, Shepherd, and Obi finish out the season. So we can talk about all 3 specifically, but we could also say, if you had to say out of these 3 players, how many are on the team at the end of the season, would you say 1, 2, or 3?
I would say at least 2. At least 2.
At least. So you only think one person's getting traded from this group?
I think there's a scenario that maybe none of them get traded.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think there's definitely I would say this: if the Pacers are winning, I don't think any of them get traded. If they have a good record and they're say a top 6 seed, I think Indiana's just going to absolutely stay the course. Maybe. If they're play-in-ish, okay, they'll probably stay the course. If they are they know what they're looking at and they are not going to be a top 6 team by any standards, and maybe you have a run at the 9th or the 10th, then they might very well make a move. So I think that's the first, way to set the stage as to, why it might not be all 3. But if they're winning, I think all 3 guys are on this roster.
I mean, I'll say this. If they're winning and they still feel like they could potentially lose Mathurin in free agency, I think they would still look to trade him.
Sure.
That to me makes a lot of sense because it's the same reason. It's a different player, but a couple years ago when they traded Buddy Hield, obviously the return was not greater than the player. So I would have much rather had Buddy Hield as an option in the playoffs versus Doug McDermott. Even though McDermott wasn't, I guess, terrible, he didn't play a lot. Yeah, you still got a shooter back. You saved a little bit of money. It cleared up some space, so there wasn't this awkward tension in the locker room because that's kind of what was reported. Buddy was not happy that Nembhard took his starting spot back and things like that. So, I know Buddy wanted to get paid, but look, Buddy ended up not getting paid what he thought he should have got paid, and I think he actually turned down $70-some million from the Pacers over 3 years, and thought, once again, thought the grass was greener somewhere else potentially, and it was actually a lot less. So, I think that with the Pacers, if I'm looking at these 3 names, I would say probably 1 gets traded of the 3. It wouldn't shock me if 2 of them do, but I think Shepherd's probably the most likely to stay in Indiana just because I think his contract's so small, and I also just think what teams really value him as much as they would value what Obi brings, number 1, and obviously what Mathurin brings.
Couldn't agree more on the Ben Shepherd thing. You're not going to see the Pacers trade Ben Shepherd for 2 second-round picks or some small deal like that. I feel like they like Ben Shepherd. He's the contract's small enough. It's just I don't see that happening. I think if the contract that Vero could is if you want to make a bigger splash, Obi Toppin's salary of about $14 million is almost essential to making any type of bigger deal, because the breakdown is this: you got Halliburton, you got Siakam at about $45 million each. Then you got Andrew Nembhard at 18. It doesn't feel like Nembhard's going anywhere. You're not. He
almost feels untouchable.
I know. That's what I was gonna say. You're not gonna say he's untouchable, but it feels like it. It just really feels like it would be shocking for the Pacers to trade Andrew Nembhard unless they were landing a top tier player. So you're right. Those top 3 players out in terms of salary. Then it's Obi Toppin at $14 million. You obviously know below that, they really like Aaron Nesmith and they're working towards an extension. So Obi is that salary that feels like if you're going to go, not to say big game hunting or anything like that, Obi's contract would have to be in there. You would only trade Mathurin if it is for an all-star, all-NBA type player of any degree. I don't think you trade Mathurin for anything just to make a deal or anything like that. So,
I might disagree with you.
You tell me.
Just a little bit.
What's the bar for what you can't trade Mathurin for? Because I think that he is to me a really promising talent that might be more valuable on other teams because they might have that luxury to say, here's the keys, put it in drive.
I think if they can get a role player, listen to me, if they can get a role player that fits their system better than what Mathurin fits, and having a role player is not a bad thing. Maybe there's another young player out there that's on the second year of his rookie contract or something like that. Somebody they're targeting that fits it. Like, for example, I'm not saying this player is worth Ben Mathurin. I'm just saying, for example,
isn't it?
It's not going to be worse than what you said with Corey Kispert. But
okay, that's fine.
If the Raptors were like,
didn't involve Mathurin though, it was Jarris Walker. Different.
I know, but let's just throw this out here. For example, let's just say the Raptors are offering Grady Dick in a trade, right? You trade Mathurin to the Raptors for Grady Dick plus a pick. I'm saying you get this role player plus a pick for Mathurin. I think the Pacers would consider that if they felt like Grady Dick's three-point shooting and ability to fit in with what this Pacer system is doing makes more sense for what they're doing long-term. Do I think that's the right player to like think of right now? Probably not, but I'm just going off the top of my head here without any notes, any research, just giving an example. And this is all because you don't want to lose the asset of Ben Mathurin for nothing. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here in my head. Maybe you even look at somebody else that was in his draft class. Maybe that doesn't fit their team as much anymore. That could also be a situation where you look at that. So I'm just saying I don't think it has to be like an all-star level player because we don't know what Mathurin's going to do this year. Like Mathurin might not reach that level where a team thinks, oh, this is an all-star level guy. I think that we have to just kind of keep that in the back of our mind. And just to add on to your Obi Toppin conversation, this is what I was doing somewhat in our trade discussions. You could also throw in Jarris Walker plus Isaiah Jackson to equal about the same salary as Obi Toppin if you don't want to get rid of Obi. You've already got 3 other centers on the roster. If you don't feel like Isaiah Jackson's that important to your long-term, team building plans, and you feel confident in Jay Huff and whatever you get back in a trade, that could also make some sense as well. So I'm just saying it depends on what the other team wants because they might prefer Jarris and Isaiah versus Obi Toppin because 2 swings instead of 1, maybe more of a ceiling for Jarris and Obi Toppin. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. So just to counter a little bit what you said.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, anything could happen. You could, there are other ways, but without like gutting the depth is essentially because like you could do. I mean, what if it's? I like I said, I don't think they're going to trade like.
You're not going to do like 4 guys for 1.
They're not.
I don't think most teams are going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not going to happen. But I just think that like if you wanted to, Obi, I would say is the easier way to get to salary. I would say compared to combining a few young guys. So. I just hope that it all works out with Mathurin, and hopefully he's not traded. Hopefully it's just a perfect fit in Indiana. I know I saw the comments in the YouTube people. We got a bunch of Mathurin haters over here. No, I want what's best for the franchise. There's no player I would say outside of Halliburton that I would rank above the franchise. And even then, like
it's just a discussion.
Exactly, it's a discussion. People, why do you want to trade these guys? Guys, we love this team, but in the offseason, we're not going to talk about. Here's like 10 reasons why Indiana needs to stay pat and do nothing in what could be labeled as a gap year. Like, no, it's for talking purposes. So
even good teams make trades and they make tough decisions. Not everybody's going to pan out, and you just kind of have to accept it. And it might stink, but it's just the way that it goes. So, want to read the hot take real quick before we move on? To
hot take. Jay Huff becomes our starting center, and we finish with a better record than the Bucks. I think the last part might be the hottest. I think Jay Huff. You never know. You never know. He could finish as a starter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bet against it. I mean, I think Isaiah Jackson has the upper hand in terms of the money and what they believe, but I think Jay Huff might fit better with that group. And I think Isaiah might fit better with the McConnell group and Obi Toppin. I just kind of – they've already got that chemistry, so that does make a little bit of sense because, Shepard, Toppin, Jackson, and McConnell were the bench when they played in the playoffs 2 years ago. So – they've already got that continuity. Pascal's used to playing with a floor spacing big, which means Jay Huff might be more of the Miles Turner replica, right? Miles Light, whatever you want to call it. So that wouldn't surprise me. But finishing with a higher record than the Bucks, that wouldn't shock me either, Facci.
Hey, you never know what's going to happen with the Bucks. Like you look at that team and like you don't see high ceiling. I think that you could easily name, I don't know, probably at least 5 teams that might be better than the Bucks this year. So all of a sudden, if the Bucks are in that 6, 7, 8 territory, like at that point, anything could happen. So
the best case scenario is for Milwaukee to be a play-in team because it only makes the waters murkier for Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh yeah, if they sink to a play-in team, Giannis is out. He's out just because I think you look at it as like they don't own their draft picks. He's still got like $22 million in dead money for from Dame. It's just that the team has no young talent that's really going to like step up. So that would be like the best case scenario around the league to get Giannis out of Milwaukee and really just you know. I don't know, deflate the Bucks, whatever term you want to use for it. And don't, as it relates to Jay Huff, can't be sleeping on the Huffster. I feel like he really could take that starting job, and I hope he. I don't want to say I hope he does because I like Isaiah Jackson, but I am rooting for Jay Huff to really be that like
Diamond in the
that diamond in the Huff. I really am. I just feel like look, it would be great to say Indiana did it again and just put them on the list of players that the Pacers just stole from the bottom of a bench on another roster and got the most out of them.
All right, Facci, the next question here comes from Chris Weech, and he wants to know who is the most famous contact in your phone right now?
Yeah, right. I saw that. I do have a couple Pacer players from the past, ones that we've had coordinate and come on this show. But
who is the most famous person in your phone?
I don't know. I don't know. I got some Al Jefferson. I got Al Jefferson. Yeah, we got some CJ Miles, a couple other, probably not so much like not like all-star-ish Pacers, but I would say some of those guys are definitely on my phone.
Yeah, I don't have any players' numbers, I don't think. Kevin Pritchard might be the number one for me. I don't know.
One time Samuel Dallenberg came on the show and I think he couldn't make it. I still got his number.
Samuel Dallenberg. I remember that interview. That was so random.
My grandpa ran into him somewhere. And he was so tall. My grandpa, hey, passed away recently. Good man. But, he was just like, are you a basketball player? And he was like, actually, I am. And he's like, you got to talk to my grandson. He does a podcast. You got to. And just got his phone number. And literally it was the craziest thing. Like, and Samuel Dallenberg was just a nice enough guy to just say, yeah, I'll do your grandson's podcast. And it was cool. He did it. And I was like, well, this will be kind of odd because he's not a Pacer. But man, this is, I don't even know how many years ago, but good guy.
Yeah. Is this Grandpa Facci or is this Grandpa?
No, on my mom's side. So, hey,
okay.
He doesn't have a last name of a Facci, but hey, great man. Took me to my first basketball game, took me to my first football game. A lot of that good memories.
Yeah, no, that's great. And rest in peace to him as well. But let's get to the actual question here from Chris. I just had to play a joke there because of what was said on social media. That made me laugh. Chris wants to know, how do you think the chemistry will be this upcoming season? Last year's team played so well because it felt very much like everyone had the championship goal. This year is obviously different. Nembhard will try to prove he can be a lead guard. Mathurin wants to get paid. What are your thoughts on how guys' individual agendas might affect the team chemistry different from last year? Appreciate it, fellas.
Tough to fully say. I still lean towards like chemistry is our strength. That's how it was in recent years. However, like you take Halliburton out of the situation and I don't know, things could get a little bit different. Who does a better job in this league than Halliburton of setting his guys up early and often? Like he's even talking about, he does it to a fault. Like he looks for others before he looks for his own shot. Mm-hmm. The pressure might be on Andrew Nembhard to be like, hey, you got to get your guys going because if we're not winning and he's not getting others involved, and maybe, I don't know, maybe things are just a little bit testier than they have been in the past. But I think this group has great chemistry together. Of course, there's no Halliburton, there's no Miles from the past, but like, there's everybody else. There's also guys like Mathurin who want to get paid, solidify his starting role. You got Jarris who needs minutes and wants to, figure out who he is. You got the centers all fighting for a starting spot. But I don't think it's going to be like, oh man, they're going to be like locker room issues or this or that. I think chemistry is our strength, but I'd be lying to say like the chemistry could be just as good as it was in the past when you had Tyrese Halliburton.
This is a check your ego at the door type of team. They play for one another. And I think the moment that we start getting agendas put in front of team basketball, Rick Carlisle and his coaching staff will nip that in the bud. And I truly believe that if we see guys going out there playing for themselves, they'll find themselves on the bench. And that's just the kind of respect Carlisle has, and that's the kind of respect that he demands. I don't think that's going to be what happens with this group. I understand Mathurin's got a lot to prove, and I think they're going to try their best to put him in a spot to be the best version of himself with this group. But I think Mathurin knows, like, if he starts playing agenda basketball, like where he's trying to go out there and show everybody, like, hey, I should be getting paid this, I should be getting paid that, it's going to hurt the team. and Carlisle will put him on the bench, and he'll start Jarris Walker, or he'll start Ben Shepherd, he'll start Johnny Furphy. Like, he will not let Mathurin do that, because he said this is Mathurin's job to lose. It's not just Mathurin, oh, here you go, free will to do whatever you want. I think some people kind of have got that mixed up a little bit with some of the messaging here from Carlisle. It's, you know what, Mathurin, we believe in you as a talent, but you still have to prove yourself. And I think that's fair to say, and I think it just kind of keeps him on his toes a little bit to continue to fit into what this team is doing and not be so fixated on what he does himself. And I'm not saying he does that. I'm just saying, in general, he's probably the one that I think is the most, suspect to fall into this category.
He's supposed to prove, I would say. A lot of the other guys are signed, or like maybe I don't know, maybe not.
He's a guy that could definitely put himself in a spot to do that. I think Jarris Walker could also be in that same boat, because he wants to prove that he deserves more minutes, and he's trying to figure things out. And, I just think anybody that doesn't check their ego at the door, they'll get checked some way. And I think even with Halliburton not playing, he'll do a very good job of being present vocally on the sideline. And I think that's going to play huge dividends as well.
The one thing I am a little bit worried about is, Halliburton said at one point, like, he doesn't know how much he's going to travel, at least, early on. Like, he's not going to be, for at least from my understanding, at every road game and stuff like that. Obviously,
first couple of months, maybe, or a couple weeks.
Exactly. So I don't know what the timetable is. See what type of effect could that have? I mean, he's obviously an infectious personality where it's like, hey, he's someone that I think, his smile is contagious. We've talked about that. We've heard about that. How much could that be a little bit tough if they're on like a road trip and he's not with the team and they're maybe struggling or anything like that? We'll see. But they still have really good veterans on this team, like a TJ McConnell and a Pascal Siakam. There is one less veteran in James Johnson who's not around, who at a time like this, maybe you do want, that type of personality, especially when you don't have Halliburton. But I still feel like this team has all the coaching staff that they brought back. Mike Weiner turned down the Knicks. Great. Love to see it. And I think that it's great to have that coaching staff, that stability, and the majority of the roster from the past is here. I think the chemistry is going to be just fine.
All right, Facci, let's move on to our fifth question here from Rooster.
Doesn't get any more faithful than the Roost man. Rooster coming back at us. He said, what are the chances Jay Huff ends up being a viable starting center in the NBA, developing in our system? I'll leave it at that because I know we got a hot take, so we'll answer the first one.
What would I say percentage-wise this happens? I'm going to say 50%.
I mean, yeah.
It's right down the middle for me. I feel like I can see it going either way. Like, okay, this guy's probably not a starter, but is still a really nice backup, or a guy that can play starter minutes, but probably would be better served in that backup role. I think I lean more towards that. Maybe it's more 60-40 in terms of backup versus starter. But I do think in this system, like, he can provide, and I think he's going to showcase at times, like, this is a nice fit. But I do wonder if he's a long-term piece.
Yeah. I mean, look, we haven't seen too much, so it's hard to have a lot of faith.
What have we seen with him? Nothing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, just handfuls of clips and random game logs where, oh, hey, he played over 20 minutes and he produced in this game. But, like, so I guess just to be a little bit different, I'll say 55% that he is a starter, just a little bit more because he has, I think, more offensive capabilities. I think if the Pacers are struggling a little bit, they might say, you know what, we could really use a little bit more of that three-point shot and stretching the floor a little bit to kind of play a little bit similar to how they were in the past. So, and then obviously Isaiah Jackson is the guy who's coming off of a serious injury. So maybe there's a time where that does slow him down a little bit. Like we've heard with Achilles, sometimes you come back, you feel healthy, and then there's a little bit of a setback before you feel like yourself. So we'll see what happens, but I would just say, you know what, I'll put it at 55% that he could be a starting center, with the Pacers in our system.
All right, there we go. I like it. Let's move on to our next question. Or there's
a hot take. Sorry. Pacers will be a top 5 seed and make it to at least the second round. Everyone has overlooked us the last 2 years. Why should this year be any different?
Well, the reason it should be different is because Tyrese Halliburton's not on the court, and you've had Tyrese Halliburton the last 2 years, and the highest you've gotten is the 4 seed, number 1. And then number 2, you also lose your starting center that you had for the last 2 years as well. So losing 2 starters, it does make it seem a little bit more difficult to get a top 5 seed and win a playoff round. If you were to tell me they made it to a top 5 seed, I think that's more realistic than saying they win a first round playoff matchup. I think it's going to be hard to win a first round playoff matchup, especially without two, experienced players like we just mentioned, and number 3 for the Bucks and Tyrese Halliburton. So yeah, for me personally, I would love for this to happen, Rooster. I wouldn't push against the Pacers maybe finishing higher than people are expecting them to. And if they won a first round playoff series, would I be completely shocked? Probably not at this point with this group. But I would say that it's a hot take because I don't think it's likely to happen.
It's definitely hot. It's a little spicy. Maybe a lot spicy. I think Brewster's always just a little bit higher on the Pacers than we are by like a couple of wins. Like I think anytime we do those, regular season predictions, he's always like, I got him 2 wins higher. Let's put him
at 55 wins. Yeah, I'm still waiting for Ben Shepherd to become the next Klay Thompson.
Yeah, me too. I will set my timer, and I hope I live to see it. It'd be great. But
did you see him call you out for that trade too?
Yeah. I mean, look, everybody said it was a bad trade. That's fine. I'll own it. It was not a great trade.
If it makes you feel any better, I got a worse one today on Facebook Messenger. Someone asked me if we should trade Jarris and Ben Shepherd for the expiring contract of Vucevic.
No, you can't do that. We're gonna have four or 5 centers on this team. I mean, 5 if you count, the piece of paper that says Tony Bradley's name on it. I mean, at this point, it's just.
I didn't even know what to say. I'm like, how would that work? They're like, well, you use the mid-level exception plus those contracts. You can't combine them together to make the trade happen. Number 1 and number 2. Why would you trade 2 players away under team control for the next 6+ years for a guy on an expiring
35-year-old Vucevic who might get bought out?
That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, guys, come on. I understand that he's probably a better talent at center than what we have now, but what's the point of trading for someone this season? It doesn't make any sense.
Not at all. As it relates to Rooster's hot take on this, I would just say the top 5 part, that would be kind of top 5 seed. That'd be kind of spicy. Winning a second round, going to the second round, winning a playoff matchup. That's where it's like, whoa.
Who are they beating? That's what I want to know. If it's the Bucks, then that's great.
Yeah, I would love to believe that. But here's what I'm saying. Look, Cleveland, New York, Orlando, those 3 definitely are ahead of the Pacers. Then you got Boston, Detroit, which you'd also say, hey, they probably should be.
Boston?
Yeah, I mean, they should, we'll see. I mean, Boston doesn't.
I don't think so.
They don't look great, but I
don't like their front court at all.
I mean, look, this is not a strong Boston team by any means.
I think Indiana finishes above Boston. I think Boston's gonna make some more trades. I feel like they
probably will. They need to make another deal to their next deal gets them below the first apron, and it's
they're doing what the Pacers probably should be doing and saving money. But they also had a bunch of big contracts to get rid of.
They've saved $240 million this offseason, which is crazy. So it's perfect what Boston should do. But just throw in some teams that they Detroit, those are teams that I think would be in the mix for the top 5, I would say. So you could say maybe not Boston, whatever. Milwaukee's in that next category where they could be anywhere from 5 to 7, 5 to 8, whatever.
Hot Atlanta.
Yeah, maybe Atlanta takes a step up. I feel like the Pacers have a shot to maybe be the 6th seed. I feel like they have a shot. I really do. But winning a first round matchup is hard for me to envision unless this team became buyers at some point, or Nembhard Nembhard and Mathurin take a leap, and all of a sudden it's whoa, Indiana has a really good problem on their hands of Nembhard is a really good starting point guard in this league. So I would just say that's a hot take for a reason. I heard Rooster call someone out on that. That is the definition of a hot take. Yep. I agree with you on that.
All right, let's move on to our last question here. It's from Schwarz Bruder. He said he sent the same question to Tony East on Locked On Pacers. What are some weird experimental lineups you'd like to see us try out? One example would be Nembhard, Furphy, Walker, Siakam, and Huff as a unit, going with maximum size, something you never really see the Pacers do.
I would say, what about McConnell, Mathurin, Obi, Siakam, J Huff? Just straight up get out there and run. I think something where it's
Siakam
right.
At the 3, that's big.
No. Obi at the 3.
Obi plays the 5 when he plays next to Siakam.
I mean, you said a crazy.
Who's Obi guarding then? I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to be a starting 5 minus 1 guy. It's
no,
all right.
I'm just asking. I'm asking you a question. It has to make a little sense.
I don't know. I mean, it was an experiment. Quote, what are some weird experimental lineups? I figure this is a weird experimental lineup. So
I mean, it's just something you probably don't expect to see play together. Could you see J Huff and Isaiah Jackson play together? at the 4 and the 5.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
Yeah, it could be interesting. Another
With
one.
Jarris at the 3.
Yeah.
Aaron at the 2. Nembhard at the 1. That could be fun.
Yeah, could be. Another one was Nembhard, Nesmith, Jarris, Siakam, and Huff. Just try to do something kind of weird, different. I think that's a good defensive type of lineup. Like, you got shooters out there. I think you got 4 shooters, and then Nembhard. Hopefully, Nembhard can continue to progress on his 3-point shooting. So I think that'd be interesting. That's moving Nesmith up to the 2, Jarris at the 3, Siakam at the 4, Huff at the 5. Who knows? So those are.
I'll give you one. TJ at the 1, Andrew at the 2. We're gonna go Shepard at the 3. Nesmith at the 4, Isaiah Jackson at the 5.
I don't like it.
It's weird.
It's definitely weird. Is it good? I feel like you're really small.
Yeah, you're going small ball with Nesmith at the 4, which we've seen work pretty well. He can play.
You're also small with McConnell and Nembhard.
You have 2 ball handlers though for the first time because you're not going to have that a lot.
Yeah.
And then Shepard obviously does what Shepard does. You put him and Nesmith out there together to defend. Obviously, Nembhard can defend. Isaiah Jackson can defend. It's different.
Who's at the 5?
Isaiah Jackson.
Who's your go-to scorer with that group?
Nembhard. McConnell. Did you not see McConnell go bonkers in the third quarter of the NBA Finals against the best defense in the league?
I did see that quarter. There's plenty of other ones where you're wondering where
these lineups don't have to last for 40 minutes. It's just like a 2 or 3 minute lineup experiment.
You had all these holes to pick with my first lineup, and this lineup.
I just asked you who. I said who's playing the 3. I said Siakam at the 3. You said no Obi. I said who's he guarding? Yeah. You said weird. I didn't poke any holes. I just asked a question.
Who's he guarding? Who we're playing? I'll tell you when I know who we're
playing. The Pistons. Okay.
So I mean, look, you can't. Who's he guarding? I don't know. So
is he guarding 3s or is he guarding? Because I feel like Siakam would be more of the 3 because we've seen Siakam guard like the Gary Trent Juniors. We've seen Siakam guard 3. I'm just asking because Obi usually guards bigs because Obi's not as quick laterally defensively as Siakam. That's all I was asking.
So then I'll say McConnell, Mathurin, Siakam, Obi, Huff. It's that same 5 out there.
Okay. I was just asking a question.
Yeah. No, that's
play some zone, man. Let's get funky with it.
That's my weird lineup out there. So, you got yours. Hey, Schwartz. Hopefully you liked it. I'd like to hear. Chime in, everybody, in the YouTube comments. What is your weird experimental lineup? Let's see how weird we could get, where it also still makes sense, and the Pacers wouldn't be like drastically outscored. Because we've seen some lineups that weren't supposed to be weird at times, but you've been like, if this lineup played together long enough, they were a minus, like, whatever it is. You've come on here, awful stats that are true. Like, they're like an offensive rating of 55 and like a defensive rating of 140. It's like, whoa, that's gross.
I'll give you another one just for some fun here. We're gonna go Nembhard at the 1, Nesmith at the 2, Jarris at the 3, Pascal at the 4, James Wiseman at the 5.
Hey, I hope there's times that we're like, I've gotten a little bit lower on James Wiseman over the last couple of weeks. I don't know if it's just August just kind of setting in where it's like, come on, what's going on? But like,
where's the Wiseman hype, man?
I don't know. Like, little by little, I think I've just gotten just a little bit more negative or like a little bit pessimistic on James Wiseman. So I'm hoping that he could deliver, and I want to believe again, because I know when we had Tony and I were talking about how many years do you get of the hype of a top 5 pick, and this is it. This is the expiration date. So I hope it all works out with James Wiseman, because I want to get hyped about him again.
Let's get hyped about Wiseman. Let's start the train up again, Foch. It's August 10th as we're recording this. Choo-choo, James Wiseman's coming through. All right, so that's going to do it for part 1 of the Mailbag Podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're not following us on Twitter, we're at PacersPodSTP. Foch is at _FACCI. I'm at Alex Golden NBA. We would love to interact with you guys, so please give us a follow. And Fachi, if you're excited to come back for tomorrow's episode, where we're going to have Ted Wu, Pacers assistant general manager, on, then hit me with those 3 words.
Let's go, Pacers.
We keep scoring, we don't need to stop. New episodes, weekly drops. This your #1 podcast, sweeping every team. We gon' need a mop. Setting the pace with Alex and Fachi. Alex and Fachi. Alex and Allison. Setting the pace with Alex and Fachi. Alex and Fachi. Alex and Allison. Setting the pace with Alex and Fachi. Alex and Fachi. Alex and Allison. Setting the pace with Alex and Fachi. Alex and Fachi. Alex and Allison.